Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. I'm Jordyn and welcome to Slaughterfest. I am very excited to be kicking off this readathon. In case you missed my announcement video and you don't know what this readathon is all about, I do have a video, like I just mentioned, where I talk through all of the reading prompts of this readathon, what inspired it, and everything. So I'm not going to talk through all of those details again. But I am so excited to be participating in this readathon and co-hosting it along with Beth and Ashley. It's going to be a very fun and busy week. Let's talk about the books I'll be reading and then we can talk about what's going on for the week. So because it is going to be such a busy week, not only readathon related, but also general life related, I only have 2 books on my TBR. If I finish these ones with plenty of time, then I do have a 3rd book kind of on reserve that I would like to read. But beyond that, no plans. So the first book that I for sure will be getting to this week is the buddy read that we've chosen. It's called Cirque Berserk by Jessica Guess. I don't know anything about it other than it is a circus themed horror book. It is very small and cute and should hopefully be fast. It's less than 200 pages long, and actually I've seen some pretty good reviews so far. Once we picked this for our buddy read, people came out saying they were really excited to read it, or some people had already read it and said they really enjoyed it. So that is making me very excited that this is gonna be a fun time to read and talk about with everyone participating in the readathon. The second book that I definitely plan to get to this week is Sundial by Katrina Ward. I think this is also a horror book. I believe it has to do with a mother-daughter relationship that is somewhat strange, and I wanted to read this book for a couple of reasons. First of all, obviously I own it and I want to knock this book off of my physical TBR. Second reason is I know that Ashley really likes this book, who is co-hosting this readathon with me. I thought it would be fun to read one of her favorite books and favorite authors. And then third of all, this will fulfill 2 prompts for me. It will fulfill animal on the cover, which, pause for a second, let's talk about how pretty this cover is. And then it'll also fulfill out of my comfort zone, because adult horror is very much outside my comfort zone. I've been kind of trying to dip my toe in with not that much luck, because I in general don't love weird, unbelievable, unrealistic things. But I'm not sure if this book is unrealistic weird or more realistic weird, which I can sometimes be down with. We'll see. I'm excited to read it nonetheless and talk about it with Ashley. And then kind of my bonus book, if I finish those 2 books early in the week and want to get to a 3rd one, I would like to read Girl Forgotten by Karen Slaughter. Obviously this readathon is called Slaughterfest. It's inspired by Karen Slaughter, who is Beth's favorite author, and everything she writes that is dark and disturbing. So I want to fit a Karen Slaughter in here if I can. I don't own this book, unfortunately, but it is the sequel to her book called Pieces of Her, which I have read. I think I gave that book 3 stars, so it was fine to me, but I have in general heard that this sequel is better. This book will also knock off a few prompts. It's a sequel, which is a prompt, and it is also a New York Times bestseller. So if I can make time for this book, I will go ahead and grab the audiobook so I can fit it in. So the only prompt that I am not fulfilling with these 3 books is the letters F-U-N in the title, which was proving to be actually a pretty difficult prompt. I thought of that prompt idea related to like a fun house way back when we were planning this readathon, and I didn't think to actually look at how many books have those letters in the title, and it's not many. Some people have been putting recommendations in the Discord chat, which is very helpful. Let's say I absolutely speed through these first 3 books this week. I may look at those recommendations and see if I can find one on audio to pick, but nothing on my own TBR fit that prompt, so I may just have to leave this one unfinished. Now, as for this week, it is going to be a really fun but busy week. Tonight we've got reading sprints on Ashley's channel, which I will be joining and very excited for. On Wednesday, we've got a movie watch, so we'll be watching a movie with everyone participating in the readathon, and we'll be talking about it at the same time in Discord. That will be super fun, and I'm sure I'll get some footage of that. Thursday, I am planning to do reading sprints on my channel, but this may get shifted because actually my family is leaving on Thursday afternoon to go on a road trip up to North Dakota, which is where my husband and I are from. We have a friend getting married there this weekend. It's a 7-hour drive, so we will probably be in the car for most of Thursday night. So I'm not sure if I'm going to try to make that work for my sprints or if I'm going to reschedule those for another day this week. To be determined. And then Saturday, Beth has reading sprints planned on her channel, so I will join those if I'm able to. Not quite sure what we'll be doing on Saturday yet. Sunday is when we have the wedding, so my family will be going to that, and then also on Sunday we will be driving all the way home, and that is the last day of the readathon, so I will probably be trying to finish whatever book I'm in the middle of that day. And so this is just going to be a little bit chaotic of a week. early this week I will be prepping for all of our travel this weekend, but you know the drill. I will take you along for everything exciting that I'm doing. I think I am going to start with Sundial because I can get this book on audio. It's definitely the longer of these two books, so I want to get it started, and I would like to be reading it tonight on Reading Sprints on Ashley's channel, so again, I can talk to her about this book. So that's the plan, is I'm going to start this book. I have a couple of errands to run this afternoon before picking my kids up from daycare. So I'm going to get on with my afternoon. I will check in once I've started this book. I'm a little ways into it. Hopefully I can give you a bit of a synopsis. I hear it's a little weird and confusing, so not sure how much I'll be able to share, but I'll do my best and I will just give you an update once I have it. Hello everyone, happy day 2 of the readathon. It is Tuesday. Let's catch up on what's going on. Not a whole lot. I have been reading a bit. Last night when I was on Reading Sprints on Ashley's channel, it was really fun hanging out with Ashley and Beth, and I got about halfway into Sundial, and this has been an interesting reading experience so far. Right at the beginning, I was really hooked in the story. I was nervous going into this book because I wasn't sure if it was going to be just like a straightforward story or if it was going to be kind of abstract. Just in the way I've heard people talk about it, I didn't really know what to expect, so I was glad when I was brought into a story that I was like fully understanding. I was relating to the characters. The general synopsis of the beginning of this book is we are following this family, specifically this mother named Rob, who is having issues in her marriage. Her and her husband are very clearly not on the same page, not seeing eye to eye, have just been arguing and bickering for a long time. She suspects that he is having an affair with their neighbor, so they're not on good terms. And then also our mother, Rob, feels a very different connection with her 2 children. It's kind of similar to The Push by Ashley Audrain, where the mother feels like she really doesn't connect with her first child and really does connect with her second child. And so it's weird seeing like that different relationship with the 2 children. It's really sad to read about because this family is so dysfunctional, but there were also moments that I was reading that I was really relating to. As someone in a marriage and with children, it's very much not always easy, and things can happen that are annoying, or after happening enough times can just like break you or make you snap. And I know that feeling, and it's again just sad reading about a family who is succumbing to that because the family is just kind of crumbling. So basically the story continues on with the mother wanting to take one of her children to like this desert childhood home of hers called Sundial. And once they do that, the story is getting a little bit more weird. Things with the child are a little bit weird. We're not sure what's real and what's not. And then the mother goes into her backstory and what she grew up with in her childhood, the story of Sundial. And that's kind of where I am now, is the book is continually flashing back to that time. So we're getting the history of the mother's childhood, and we're also getting present day, what's going on with the mom and daughter at Sundial. And I am just very curious to see how this all comes together, and if there are like twists to come, or if things are going to get more weird and fantastical, or if it's going to stay relatively realistic and things are just going to click together. I really have no idea what to expect. I feel like this book could go 10 different directions, and I would be surprised yet not surprised by all of them. So we will see. I am planning to finish this today, and when I was on sprints last night, Ashley was like, you have to message me right after you finish and let me know all your thoughts. So I'm very excited to get to the end of this book and talk to her about it. Otherwise, this morning I went out and voted. Today is election day, but other than that, I just have my normal work day going on. So I'm gonna get back to that. Not much else eventful happening today. I'm gonna start on like laundry so we can pack for this weekend. Very exciting. But I will probably check in next once I have finished Sundial and give you my final thoughts there, and then talk about the next book I'll be reading. Hello everyone, happy Wednesday. It is day 3 of the readathon. I am obviously in my car. Plans are changing for the week. As I mentioned, we are planning to go up to North Dakota this weekend, but it sounds like they are expecting quite a bit of snow on Thursday night and Friday, which is when we were planning on driving up there. So now we're thinking we'll drive up there tonight probably in order to avoid driving in snow if we can help it. So that means instead of having today and tomorrow to prep everything to leave, I have to get as much done today as possible in between working and things. So right now it is the morning. I'm about to take my car to donate some stuff to clear out the back end and then get a car wash for the outside of my car and vacuum the inside of my car because it's been a bit neglected, and right before a long 7-hour road trip is definitely the time we want it to be clean so that we can use all the space and just have like a fresh slate going into the road trip, because the kids will definitely make it a mess by the end of the road trip. So that is what I'm doing right now, and I wanted to pop on because I have some reading updates as well. First things first, last night I finished Sundial, and what a wild ride of a book. Like I think I mentioned at the beginning of this vlog, I really had no idea what to expect from this book. Part of me was worried it was going to be really abstract, possibly magical and fantastical and speculative, which are all things that I don't love in books. But reviews I've seen also made me think that there was probably something else in here that's causing it to get so many 5-star ratings. There are some people who really disliked this book, so it's polarizing, and I was just curious to know what about it was polarizing. And as I was reading this, I was kind of in the middle, even up to like an hour left in the audiobook. I was like, how is this all gonna come together? I still didn't really know how the past and present timelines were gonna intersect and how it was gonna be important. And then all of a sudden, one by one, things just clicked into place, and it was so puzzle piecey in how it came together, and I love that so much in books when something that was referenced way at the beginning comes back into play, or something you've been wondering about, like how is that going to be important, clicks perfectly into place. That happened in this book. There were, I would say, multiple twists at the end that I didn't see coming, that I was pleasantly surprised by, and just by the end I was like, wow, that was well done. So I am going to give it 4 stars. It's not a perfect 5 for me because that middle was a little dragging for me and I was just so confused about what was happening, but the ending really pulled it back up and solidified it as a 4-star book for me. So I'm so happy that I gave this a chance. I did message Ashley about it last night. She was very happy to hear that I enjoyed it, and all in all, a very good first read for this readathon. So for my second read, instead of diving right into the buddy read, I was thinking last night that I just need like a contemporary book, something to kind of cleanse my palette, because I have been reading so much horror lately and I'm just kind of horrored out. I didn't want to go right into that slasher and not give it the best chance for me to enjoy it, so I'm changing my TBR up a little bit. I went and looked back at my shelves, and some people in our Discord were saying they are stretching some of the prompts for the readathon, which is completely fine. I fully support stretching prompts to meet what you actually want to read and not forcing yourself to read books that fit prompts but you're not actually interested in. And I was able to find a book on my shelf that has the letters F-U-N in the title and author's name, so it's stretching the prompts a little bit, but it's My Oxford Year by Julia Whelan. And I know this is a completely random book. 99% of you are not going to be interested at all in my thoughts on this book, but basically it's a contemporary novel. It's a debut from the author Julia Whelan, who is also a very popular audiobook narrator. I love her and I've listened to a ton of books that she's narrated. I also listened to her most recent release, which came out this summer and was a romance, and I gave that one 4 stars. So I knew I wanted to come back and read her debut at some point. So that's just what I'm doing now as a very easy, light book to kind of fill in my horror reads. I am already 38% of the way through the book. It is basically about this graduate student who is a Rhodes Scholar, which just means she gets a scholarship to attend Oxford for a year. While she's doing that, she's also working remotely for this political candidate back in the US. So she's very busy, she's very motivated, and it's really just about her experience this year studying abroad. So far it's fine. I don't have a whole lot to say about it. I'm guessing it won't be like a life-changing book or anything, but it is just what I need right now for something light and fun as I am doing errands and having such a busy day and busy week. I figured I will knock it out probably in one day and then I can get back to the spookier, more dark and disturbing books for the readathon. So that's the plan. I'll check in later when I have an update, either reading wise or life wise. If we do end up leaving this afternoon, I'm sure I will have road trip B-roll footage. But either way, I'll check in the near future and let you know what else is going on. Hello friends, it is not Slaughterfest anymore. I could lie to you and say it's Sunday right now, but it is not. It is well into the next week and I did not give any updates on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, or Sunday. So I apologize about that. As you saw and as I told you, we were at my in-laws' house, and I don't know about the rest of you, but when I am around not only family, but my spouse's family, it's very hard to find time and feel comfortable updating a vlog. So it just didn't work out to do updates, but I did do a lot of reading. So I'm just gonna catch you up on everything that happened. So Wednesday night we did drive up. Weather was not great. It was raining a lot of the time we were driving, but better than snowing. So we made it safely to where we were going. I did finish on that drive my Oxford Year. This is probably my least favorite thing I read for this entire readathon. Not because I wasn't in the mood. I think I made it very clear that I was in the mood for something contemporary and kind of romancy. This just was different than I expected. This book definitely takes a turn away from our main character and like her life and figuring out what she wants to do with her career and her education and everything, and turns into a romance with someone that she meets at Oxford. And what makes it interesting and unique is kind of a spoiler. So I think to talk about it, I will put a spoiler warning on the screen. It's not a major spoiler, and I'm guessing not that many people are planning on reading this book. So again, I'm going to talk about it. This book just gave me very similar vibes to Me Before You by Jojo Moyes, or however you say that author's name, which I also saw people reference in their reviews of this book. And I feel like that's kind of important to know going into it because it could potentially be triggering. It could also be not at all what somebody is wanting to read about. It just made the book feel a little strange to me, and like its focus went away from what I thought it was going to be. But that doesn't come into play until well into this book. So that's why I would consider it like a minor spoiler, because even the synopsis really doesn't reference that part of the story. It does mention a romance, and it kind of becomes this decision for our main character of like, does she pursue this romance or does she continue pursuing her career? So I don't know. I just felt kind of weird about it. I gave it 3 stars. I don't think it was terrible. And for what it was, if that's something someone was looking to read about, I think it was fine. Just wasn't my perfect book, and I definitely liked this author's second book, Thank You for Listening, much more than this one. So I will continue to look out for what she puts out in the future, and that's that on that. So Thursday is when I hosted reading sprints on my channel, and I started reading the buddy read, Cirque Berserk, and this book was so fun. Ashley read this on sprints on her channel on Monday night, so I knew that this book was going to be really quick to fly through, and I knew she enjoyed it and other people had enjoyed it, so I was very excited to read it, and it pretty much lived up to every expectation for what it is. It's a very short horror book about this group of high school students. I think they're seniors and it's like their senior night or whatever. And they decide to go to this abandoned amusement park called Cirque Berserk, which has been shut down for like 30 years at this point because 30 years ago there was a massacre there. A bunch of kids killed a bunch of people at the carnival, so it got shut down, but it never got torn down, and now there are rumors that it's haunted and that anybody who goes in there never comes out. So these kids are intrigued and they decide to go there, and it is a slasher, so you can imagine what happens. And it's very fun. I was very impressed with how much I actually came to care about the characters for how short the book is and for how many of them die. It seems like that's not a part of the book that should be a main focus or that should be one of its strengths, but it definitely was. And I thought the general story was good. Like there was a little more depth to this about why it was happening, and it played into which characters you were rooting for. So I really enjoyed it. I gave it 4 stars. I don't know what it would take for a slasher to be 5 stars for me, but I do think it's something I would be interested in reading more of. This is only the second slasher I've read ever. The other one was There's Someone Inside Your House by Stephanie Perkins. I gave that one 4 stars. I gave this one 4 stars. So maybe this is a genre that I do need to dive even more into, and I definitely will be keeping my eye open for more of them that I hear good things about. So that was 4 stars, excellent surprise. And then on Saturday, Beth did sprints on her channel. I joined them and I decided to listen to Girl Forgotten, as I mentioned I wanted to do this week. And I did end up finishing it on Sunday on the drive home. So let's talk about Girl Forgotten. This is a sequel to the book Pieces of Her, which is about our main character named Andrea, who has a mother who has some secrets. And Pieces of Her is all about finding out about her mother and her past and solving that mystery in her life. That book I found to be a little bit slow, but I was ultimately satisfied with the story. And this book is just a continuation of that. It's a few years later. Andrea has decided to become a US Marshal, which is a decision she makes based on some things that happen in the first book. But we jump in at her graduation when she's on her first assignment. And she's basically given like a real assignment and then also like a secret assignment. That is probably more fun to find out as you read the book. So I won't talk about specifically what those are. But this book, I felt kind of similarly about it as I did the first one. It wasn't the most entertaining as I was reading it. Like there wasn't a lot of thrill to it. And this one in particular, I didn't feel much like imminent danger, whereas in the first book there was a little bit of tension because she was in actual danger, her mother was in actual danger. This one was just, she was on assignment for her work, so it felt very status quo and like nothing scary was gonna happen to her. So I didn't love that, but in general, the stories and the mysteries that Karen Slaughter builds are just good. Like they're complex enough to be interesting, the characters are compelling, and I did want to know what happened in these mysteries, and I wanted to know how everything worked out. The reveals were good, the conclusion was good. It just leaves me wanting more like feeling, you know what I mean? I just feel like it was satisfying, but not much else. So I'm gonna give this one 3 stars. I am interested in continuing to read from Karen Slaughter. She has a couple books on her backlist that I think I would be interested in. I don't know about her series. I just don't think that's the type of book that I enjoy. I don't care to follow characters for years and years and decades of their lives. Like her Will Trent series that I think has like 20 books in it. No thanks. But her standalones or new books that she comes out with that are the start of series, I could see myself trying again in the future. But I am glad that I fit this book in to the readathon. So with all that said, it was a very busy week, like I've been saying this whole time, but it was a good reading week. I had so much fun talking with Ashley and Beth and everyone else in the Discord. There were some great book recommendations. There were a lot of people who enjoyed the buddy read, which is always so much fun within a readathon when everyone's reading the same thing and you can talk about it and you can talk spoilers. This was great for that. So all in all, a great week, and a big thank you to Beth for inviting me to be a co-host for the readathon. Let me know if you participated in Slaughterfest. What did you read? What did you enjoy? If you didn't participate in the readathon, have you read any of the books that I mentioned, or are you interested in any of them now? I know that Ashley did put out a vlog for this readathon, so I will link that below in case you haven't watched it already. But other than that, I don't think I have anything else. So thank you so much for watching this video, and I will see you in my next one.